what do you do with them? We've all got them. We've all seen them. What do you do with them? Strips. Lots and lots of strips. Today we're going to talk more about all of those scraps and strips that we have. You know, we've all got them. They just seem to pile up. Scrap management is probably a full-time job, just staying ahead of it. Hi, I'm Roberta from Quilt Crafters Corner, and today we're going to talk more about your scraps and what you can do with them. Now, I want to thank everybody who has liked and subscribed to the channel. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. And for those of you who haven't, it's free, so come join us. Also, there's a link down in the description to get my quilt design composition checklist. So click the link and sign up and you will get yours emailed to you. So today we have more scraps because we've all got them and we need to use them. They're just not doing any good in that drawer over there. So this is today's block and I'm really excited about this because it's a fun block to do and you can't make just one. They are endless. This is called a potato chip block, and trust me, it's called a potato chip block for a reason, because you can't make just one. Once you get started on this, it's a great way to use up your scraps, but it's also quick, easy, leaders and enders. You can do these as leaders and enders and get some amazing blocks out of this. So let's go over to the cutting table because I've got some great ideas for you to do with your scraps. Okay, here we are at the cutting table, and you saw that mess that was out here. Those were all of my 2.5-inch scraps. So here, what I have done is I have put together all of my blues because I'm working on this idea with blues, and I seem to have an abundance of blue scraps. So let's take a look at how simple and easy this block is to do, but also I want to show you other ideas that we can do with this block. Now this is one of the ideas. It starts with a 4.5 by 2.5, and these, the center ones, are just sewn together, quick and easy. Like I said, this can be done as leaders and enders. And so this is just a real simple, easy, put it together block. Then another 4.5 by 2.5. All of these blocks are 4.5 by 2.5, which makes this so easy to cut up a bunch of them at once. Now the idea I've got going on here, so you've got one on each end. Then you need to put two together the long ways so that this will all match up. And actually it matches up beautifully. It really does. It just goes together so gosh darn fast. It's really wonderful. So this is just an idea that I'm kind of playing with to do the dark in the center and then the light. And then we've got darks on the outside. And once again, these are all the same. You're just going to be putting it together like this. Now, I love the idea of just putting this all together, simple, easy, doesn't take much to do, and like I said, it can all be done with leaders and enders. It does not have to be done, you know, out of yardage, although you could do it out of yardage if you have a certain pattern in mind. So this is one of the ideas I have in my head to do as a pattern, with the dark in the middle, then the light, and then the dark on the outside. The other thing I can do is I could go light in the middle, then dark, then light on the outside. Kind of the reverse of the last leaders and enders one I did that was in red, that was using 2.5-inch squares. Kind of on that same idea. You could do something like this. This could be a real quick, easy way to make up a bunch of blocks really fast. This makes a great quilt for kids because you can use all kinds of fabric in it. You know, charity quilts, it's great for charity quilts, even for, you know, men. If there's somebody in your life that you want to make a quilt for and you think, oh, I don't have fabric, this will work because it's such a interesting pattern that you don't even notice what the fabric is until you really start looking at it. But it makes a great dynamic quilt. So this is just a real simple, easy way to do this. So let's take a look. If I put 2 of these light ones in the center, so let's put the light ones in the center and let's just see what this looks like. And like I said, I just, you know, I randomly choose something off the pile. It doesn't have to be, you know, it can just be random. And, you know, you can use up a great deal of fabric really quickly just making these blocks. And look at how quick this goes together. It's really, really amazing. Okay, now I've got that, so let's get my light ones in here again. Now, I stopped at a certain point there. You could keep going with this. You don't need to stop where I did. You could keep going and just keep adding these. I stopped at this point only because it was a 12.5-inch block at that point in time, which, you know, is kind of my go-to because it's just so easy and quick to do. But this could easily be added. You know, I could add a whole nother row to this if I wanted. I just need to make sure instead of 3 now, I'm going to be at 4. So I will be adding 4 blocks across the bottom here instead of the 3. So you just keep adding squares and blocks until you get the size you want. You can make these bigger. You can make them, you know, the size I made them. You know, it doesn't really matter how big you make these blocks. So you can just keep adding to this for, as you know, make them as big as you want. Because those, the last ones, the red ones I did, I believe those were 16.5 inches by the time I was finished. So this is just a simple, easy way to use up those scraps, get them out of your house, get them out of your drawer over there, because I know they just keep adding up and they just don't seem to go away. So there's another, you know, you could just keep making this bigger and bigger and bigger. It does not have to be done with, you know, do it any way you want. This is really a simple, easy pattern, put together, quick sewing, doesn't take much to do. So just start cutting 4.5 by 2.5. That's all you need, 4.5 by 2.5. And it could be out of 2 fabrics if you want to do 2 fabrics. It could be done out of multitude of scraps. It doesn't have to be done all in blue. It could be anything that you've got, kind of like that pile I threw on the table at the beginning. It can just be whatever you have. And don't really stress too much, or, you know, worry too much. Oh, does this color go with this color, or does that color go with that color? Sometimes randomness happens and it just really makes a quilt. It can really make a quilt rather interesting and unique just by putting random colors together. Okay, so let me show you one more idea that I have that this will really work well with. Okay, so here's a block that's already done, and it's very random. You know, it's got greens and reds and yellows and blues and all kinds of different colors in it. And like I said, it's 12.5 by 12.5. Now, I've been doing these disappearing blocks, and I got this idea, well, what if I cut it up? But then I was looking at it going, well, if I cut it up this way, you know, it's not going to look quite right. But what if I cut it this way on the diagonal? If I cut it on the diagonal, you're going to get some interesting pieces. So I want you to take a look at this, and this is just an amazing idea. I looked at this and went, what? Wait, what? I'm into cutting things up lately. So, oops, let's line that up better. There we go. So what I'm doing is I'm lining my top point and my bottom point there, but I also want to make sure that this lines up there too, so that when I cut this, now you've got 4 pieces. We can put them together like that, and you'll get a smaller block, or you could put them together like that, and you'll get a much more interesting block. Let's put it that way. There we go. That looks better. Okay, so look what we've created just by cutting it apart and putting it back together. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of cutting things apart and putting it back together, because you get an interesting idea, you get something unique and totally different, and you would have never thought to do this. It was in a book that I read a while back, and I can't remember her name, but she said if you've ever made something and you really don't like it, cut it up and put it back together. And I thought, wow, that's an interesting idea. So this is something that I thought was totally unique, something different, and fun to do. Look at how fun this is. And now I would just sew that back together, and look at what a fun, interesting block that is. A potato chip block cut up and put back together. Okay, I hope you found that fun and interesting. 1, these blocks are simple to put together, really easy, and just spend a little bit of time cutting during your downtime. That's what I do. And then I can put these blocks together like that. Simple, easy. And if you don't like the block, cut it up, put it back together differently. There are so many ideas you can do with your scraps to make them useful and get them out of your house. So I hope you found that interesting. I really enjoyed bringing this to you. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I do appreciate it. And leave me a comment. Are you going to try this? Especially cutting this up. I mean, this is great fun. So leave me a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Also, the checklist is in the description below. Just click the link and sign up, and you will get your checklist in an email. So next time we're going to talk a little bit more about not only our scraps, but interesting ideas and unique ideas to do with them. So until the next video, happy quilting.